Is it okay? Time? We'll start. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Sahana Bhavatu Sahanu Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Asato ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Aviravirmayidhi. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Tavakathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaatatam bhuvi gnanti ye bhurida janaha. Let we be protected, let we be nourished, let we strive with energy and vigor. Let our study be enlightening and not give rise to hostility. Om peace, peace, peace. Lead us to light and not to darkness. Lead us to enlightenment, not ignorance. Lead us to immortality and not death. Let the self-manifest Atman grow in me. Om peace, peace, peace. Your nectar-like words and warm and inspiring life stories, eulogized by learned sages, are indeed eradicator of shoots of ignorance. These are auspicious to hear and propitious to inculcate in one's own life. Those who take these words to the world are indeed great benefactor of the world. Now, point is incarnation. Incarnation. It is very difficult to explain what incarnation is. When there is knowledge and there is no ignorance, like there is light, there is no darkness. So it should be all equal. So Nwara Brahman, Brahmaiva Bhavati. Brahmavit, Brahmaiva Bhavati. The Nwara Brahman is Brahman himself. From okay, Sri Ramakrishna said to Narendra that he who was Rama, who he was Krishna, now in this frame, that means Sri Ramakrishna is Ramakrishna, but not according to your Vedanta, because Vedanta does not admit necessarily, especially Advaita Vedanta, but there is all one. There is no difference at all. Not in devotees, not in even Jiva Brahmaiva Navara. This Jiva is Brahman. Alone. There is no two. Neha nanasti kinchana. Now, how one incarnates and imparts? So Sri Krishna says that Dehavan iva, jata iva lakshyate. as if he has taken form. Bhaktanukampa dhrita vigraham vai. We recite the mantra of Sri Ramakrishna. Niranjanam Nityam Ananta Rupam. You are Niranjana, you are without taint, Nityam. You are eternal, Ananta Rupam. You have infinite number of form. That means you are infinite. Bhaktanukampa dhrita vigraham vai. Out of compassion for devotees, you take human form. So I'll read a little. I think that will explain what an incarnation is. Incarnation who is beyond this rigmarole of dualities. Out of compassion, he takes this form, Dehavan Iva, as if he borns, Jata Iva, as he is born or as he has body. He takes that form to help striving seekers. Those who are seeking God, but they do not know how to go about it. So God, out of compassion, takes this form. So I'll read it. The sadhu of Bhukailash was in samadhi. There are many kinds of samadhi. My own spiritual experiences tally with the words I heard from a sadhu of Rishikesh. Sometimes I feel the rising of spiritual current inside me, as though it were the creeping of an ant. Sometimes it feels like the movement of a monkey jumping from one branch to another. Again, sometimes it feels like a fish swimming in water. Only he who experiences it knows what it is like. In samadhi, one forgets the world. When the mind comes down a little, I say to the Divine Mother, Mother, please cure me of this. I want to talk to people. So Sri Ramakrishna's mind would automatically be merged in the divinity. But because of this prayer, out of compassion, he keeps this little ego to impart knowledge to ignorant people, to show the way. So he appeals to Mother, Mother, please cure me of this. So not cure actually. আমাকে ভালো করে দাও. Make me like ordinary people. I want to talk to people. Because for their own good. It's not out of his desire that he comes down. None but the Ishwar Koti, those who are of that part, like God, can return to the plane of relative consciousness after attaining samadhi. So after samadhi, they come to this relative world. Other people, somehow they attain and they cannot return. But only those who have special power, they return to impart knowledge to ordinary people. Some ordinary men attain samadhi through spiritual discipline, but they do not come back. But when God himself is born as a man, as an incarnation, holding in his hand the key to others' liberation, then for the welfare of humanity, the incarnation returned from samadhi to consciousness of this world. So it is clear now, only Ishwar Koti returns with that full knowledge Though they behave like normal human being, but they have full knowledge. That is why they can impart that knowledge to others. Now M gives a comment here. M to himself. Does the master hold in his hand the key to man's liberation? And then another thing, another one asks, the master went to the dark night. Now and then, Sri Ramakrishna was repeating Om and the name of Kali. He lay down on a mat and whispered to him, yes, God can be seen. God can be seen. X has had a vision of God, but don't tell anyone about it. So, this confidence is given by only an incarnation, not ordinary people. Now, somebody said, M, you practice so many austerities, but people expect to realize God in a moment. Can a man build a wall simply by moving his finger around his home? Master with a smile. Amrita says that one man lights a fire and 10 bask in its heat. I want to tell you something else. It is good to remain on the plane of the Leela after reaching the Nitya. So Sri Ramakrishna refers Amrita, but what he says that suppose someone cooks. He cooks not only for him or her, the person cooks for others. So person who cooks has to procure various items, then cook. But other people will get the benefit of eating only. So incarnation is like that. So incarnation helps us to attain knowledge of God. And he gives that confidence. Ishvara, God can be seen. So this is incarnation. Though there is no difference in knowledge, if you attain there, then there is no difference. But devotee wants to keep a little difference, that you are God, I am your devotee. It's attitude of devotee. But then another division is there. Brahmavit Vara, Brahmavit Varishtha. It is like this. Sri Ramakrishna gave example of 3 kind of doctors. One will prescribe and forget and say, okay, take medicine. Another will explain that, it is good, my good man, you must take some medicine, otherwise how can you be cured? So that's mediocre. And third one is, if required, the physician will sit on his chest and push the medicine. So that's the best kind of physician. So some monks will say, okay, this is the path. But some will make him convince. But some other will try to implement that, sometimes even harshly. So these are various categories that we find. But in knowledge, there is no difference. Incarnation is like he is the cook, and we impart that knowledge. We get that knowledge, or we partake that prasad, whatever he cooks. So with this introduction, we go ahead with our study. Paul?
Right on. We're on number 6.
Paul, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hmm?
Can you hear me? Yeah. Is this working? Yeah, I think it's working.
Paul?
We can hear him, Swami.
We
Can
can
you?
hear you. Yes, we can hear
Swami,
you, Paul.
you can't hear me, but they can, I guess.
Maybe he can't.
Right. I think. Maybe I'll chat in the chat window. Let's see. Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, right on. Yeah, maybe something's not connected.
Is there any problem?
Try again. It's just with this, honestly.
Can you hear me now, Swami? No, I think. Hello?
I don't think he
indeed
can hear you,
there's a
Paul.
problem.
Right. I don't think he can hear me, but everybody else can, right?
Correct. Yeah, we can hear you, but I don't think Maharaj can hear you. But he's messaging in the chat.
Paul, there is some difficulties.
Right.
So I'll read, and then when it is through, then we can switch over.
Sounds like a plan.
The devotees witnessed different manifestations of spirituality in the Master every day. We shall explain this phenomena to the reader by describing some incidents that we ourselves saw. These incidents were also witnessed by people who were not the Master's devotees, but who were visiting him when they happened. Number 7, Dr. Sarkar's attraction for and attitude towards the Master. Their conversation. We have already mentioned that Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar undertook responsibility for the Master's treatment and was trying his best to cure him. He examined the Master for a few consecutive days, in the morning, at noon, and in the afternoon, and prescribed medicine and diet accordingly. After finishing his medical duties, the doctor spent some time with the Master discussing spiritual topics. After this, the doctor became greatly attracted to the Master's open-minded spirituality, and whenever he had time, he would spend 2 or 3 hours with the Master. One day, the Master started to thank him for spending so much of his precious time there. But the doctor interrupted him, saying, "Well, do you think that I spend my time here for your sake alone? I have a personal interest in it. I derive great joy from talking with you. Although I first met you long ago, I didn't then have the opportunity of knowing you so intimately. At that time, I was busy with many things. You see, I like you for your unflinching devotion to truth. Whatever you consider to be true, you never deviate from even slightly. I see other people saying one thing and doing another. I can't bear that at all. Don't think that I'm flattering you. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a disobedient son. If my father does anything wrong, I speak out to him plainly. That is why I'm known as a sharp-tongued person. This attraction is natural. Even we see in Sri Krishna, everyone was attracted. Even in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, when he was a mere child, that time also we see many were attracted. So it is not only truthfulness, but all taken together. Personality is completely different. So when Swami Vivekananda came here in this country, the United States, people were attracted to him and they could not stop themselves. Even he uttered 4 sentences and he got a standing ovation and the clapping for say about 4 or 5 minutes. Never it happened in the history. My sisters and brothers of America, the 4 sentences, and everybody was charmed. So it is not only in something external, it is internal. It is called the ojas. Ojas is a part of our spiritual portion and a spiritual personality that is awakened. And in their presence, you cannot but surrender. So in the personality of Swami Vivekananda, that ojas was awakened. You got it now? Okay. So that is because of ojas. Those who practice truthfulness, satya, brahmacharya, ahimsa, asteya, all these are, when they practice it, that becomes their secondary nature, and that becomes their energy is manifested in ojas. So that is why attraction comes. Okay, next. If Paul,
Can you hear me now, Swami? Can you hear me?
Okay, I don't know why I can't hear from Zoom.
Huh?
For some reason, it's only Zoom that's not playing the audio.
is it okay?
Never mind, I guess you'll do the next one also.
Okay. So I read, the master said with a smile, yes, I have heard that. But you have been coming here for a pretty long time, and I have as yet no indication of it. Number 8, Dr. Sarkar's actions are motivated by his love of truth. The doctor also smiled, then replied, there is good fortune in this for both of us. If anything is not right, Mahendra Sarkar is not a person to keep his mouth shut. Don't think that I have no love for truth. Whatever I consider to be true, I have tried to follow throughout my life. For that reason, I started practicing homeopathy. I founded the Association for the Cultivation of Science, and so also with all my other works. It is natural that even such a person who loves truthfulness or cultivates satya, ahimsa, brahmacharya, aparigraha, asteya, etc., and yama, niyama, asana, etc., pranayam, dharana, so like niyama. Shaucha, Santosha, Swadhyaya, Ishwar Pranidhana, all these qualities, naturally he also will come to such a person. It is not everybody can appreciate art. Those who have eyes of art, they can only appreciate. And it is said that the beauty lies in the onlooker's eyes. So, only such a person will be attracted to the divine incarnation. So, naturally, Mahendralal Sarkar was also one of them. And he was, yes, he was outspoken. Even he never hesitated to tell Sri Ramakrishna that, you don't allow people to make pranam. And lots of argumentations are there. You can see in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And his, you can see the picture of Dr. Sarkar. Now, another thing, there are two kinds of vidya, paravidya and aparavidya. As we find in the Upanishads, dvai vidye veditabhye para cha para. Two kinds of knowledge are to be cultivated or to be known. One is supreme knowledge and another is not so supreme, not supreme. What does it mean? Then Upanishad explains, yaya tat aksharam adhigamyate, by which one attains the knowledge of that which is indestructible, which is not temporary, which is permanent. That is para vidya. And second, all other knowledge is secondary. Even Veda, all Vedas, Jyotisha, and grammar, etc., everything, even modern knowledge, whatever knowledge that we find. So this ninth, the attainment of paravidya through aparavidya. We remember that one of the disciples then insinuated that while the doctor might love truth, he had a passion for discovering only aparavidya, relative truths. Whereas the master was devoted to paravidya, the ultimate truth. The doctor became excited and exclaimed, "That is your hackneyed belief. How can you divide knowledge into para and apara? It is knowledge itself that makes the truth manifest. So how can knowledge as such be higher or lower?" So his point is why it is knowledge is knowledge, but actually no. You see, like we know something, idam. We know its weight or its length and its qualities. But paravidya is by which everything is known. Yaya tat aksharam adhigamyate. So that knowledge is naturally different. Anyway, at any rate, even if you insist upon making an imaginary distinction, you must admit that one attains paravidya by means of aparavidya. We can clearly understand God, the primeval cause of the universe, through the truths that we experience. Now here, what he says, that you know paravidya through aparavidya. But this time, Sri Ramakrishna came as illiterate, as if illiterate, to show that paravidya does not depend on aparavidya. That means lower knowledge. It is direct knowledge. And one should be serious enough, one should be full of yearning, then only one attains. It's not what he says here. Through aparavidya. But it helps. Why it helps? When you cultivate some knowledge, aparavidya, you train your mind. Say, like a scientist, he concentrates in something extraneous. So he knows that we have to concentrate. Only now he has to change the object. He was concentrating on outer objects. Now he has to concentrate on his inner objects. So concentration part is the same, whereas the orientation is different. So in that way, it can help. That's why Sri Ramakrishna told also, those who know something very professionally or profoundly, for them it is easier. And one Beenkar was playing Veena, like violin. So Sri Ramakrishna said, Babu, this also gives me joy. I also feel that bliss. But the problem is, generally, artists are engaged in entertaining people. But here it is orienting oneself totally within, not outside. Anyway, to just to mend this to stand, it is said that a musician, when he is totally absorbed in music, then he gets a joy that's Brahmananda Sahodara. It is like a brother experience of Brahmananda. Yeah, some people are there, totally they're absorbed in singing. And then they attain. Sri Ramakrishna also said that in music, Ram Prasad was Siddha. Ram Prasad attained supreme knowledge through music. So music, if it is used as a tool to concentrate, to orient oneself to the divine, then it is okay. But if it is for Lokaranjana, for entertaining others and gaining name and fame, money, etc., then it will not help. So anyway, we go forward.
I think I got it.
Huh?
I think I got it. If we want to try Paul again.
Okay.
Hello?
Oh yes.
There you go.
Okay, Paul did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay. So anyway, go ahead, please.
Are we on number 10 or were you in the, did you stop somewhere before there?
Yeah, start with at any date, even if
Okay, let me see.
just before, few lines before.
God, sorry. I swear I know how to read. Although, let's see. How about, although they have eyes, can we start there?
Okay, start.
Although they have eyes, they're all blind. Anyone who claims to have understood the whole of God, one without beginning and without end, is a liar and a cheat. Such a person should be sent to a lunatic asylum. 10. Trying to limit God is small-mindedness. The master looked at the doctor graciously and said with a smile, "You're quite right. Those who try to set limits on God are small-minded. I can't bear their foolish babble." 11. The mind understands, but the heart does not. The master then asked one of the devotees to sing the song by the great devotee Ram Prasad that begins with, Who is there that can understand what Mother Kali is? Even the 6 philosophies are powerless to reveal her. While listening to the song, from time to time, the master explained the gist of it to the doctor in a low voice. When the singer sang the last line as, "But while my heart has understood, alas, my mind has not," the master interrupted him, saying, "That is incorrect. Please reverse the words. It ought to be, but while my mind has understood, alas, my heart has not." While trying to know him, the mind easily understands that it cannot comprehend the beginningless and endless God. But the heart is reluctant to admit this. It constantly feels that it can realize God.
So, yeah, even mind becomes no mind. Manasa amani bhavati. Mind becomes no mind because its function is dropped. Even it happens when a person is absorbed in music or ecstatic, experience that some poets also experience. So when they see beauty, so they are one with it. I think Wordsworth. So even that poem was explained by the professor of Swamiji, Narendranath, Professor Hasty. So he was explaining that, and he used to have that ecstatic experience. So that even mind also stops. Mind works as sankalpa vikalpa. It holds something, it leaves something. Again holds something, leaves something. But when there is unity, mind becomes pure. Then that function is lost. Anyway, what the doctor said, that is also good. That mind can understand that it cannot be understood. But heart is relentless. Heart wants to experience this. Like here, gopis, they wanted to experience God. Yes, go ahead.
12. Wait, yeah, is that right? 12.
No, 11th, I think.
All right. Oh, okay. We're at the doctor. The doctor was impressed by this interpretation and said, "You are quite right. The mind, a petty fellow, despairs at the slightest difficulty, but the heart doesn't go along with this. That's why many truths have been discovered so far, and more will be in the future." 12. Dr. Sarkar checks the pulse of young devotees in ecstasy. While listening to the song, a couple of young devotees went into ecstasy and lost outer consciousness. The doctor examined each one's pulse and said, "It seems they have no consciousness of external objects like one who has fainted." The master ran his hand over their chests and uttered God's name in a low voice, bringing them back to a normal state. The doctor observed this and said to the master, "It all seems to be your play." The master replied with a smile, "It's not my play, but his will. The minds of these young men have not been scattered by thoughts of a wife, children, wealth, name, and fame, so they can easily become absorbed in God upon hearing the glory of his name."
Yeah, see, like mind, when is not disturbed by other things, it is natural that it can be concentrated easily or with less effort. But as Ramakrishna would say, that mustard seed, you have a little of mustard seed, all of a sudden you drop that. Can you gather that? It's very difficult, almost impossible. Because mustard seed is small, it is not visible. And it scatters all in all directions. So, as it is difficult, similarly, if a person in the world, so there are so many worries. Naturally, mind is difficult to gather. Yes.
13. Pride is caused by knowledge. Some devotees, continuing the topic they had been discussing, told the doctor that although he might believe in God and not set limits on him, there were some scientists who did not believe in the existence of God, and there were others who accepted that God exists, but only according to their own concept of him. These scientists proclaimed loudly that God is as they believe him to be, and that his power is limited to their description of it. The doctor replied, "Yes, that's partly true, but do you know what that is? It's the pride in their learning, which is something like intellectual indigestion. Because they know a few things about God's creation, they think that they understand everything in the universe. So those who've studied and experienced a great deal don't have this problem. I've never thought that I know everything."
Yes. Even those who know, like it is said that Aristotle or someone, that I only know that I don't know. So such experience come out. Newton said, I only collected some pebbles on the shoreless ocean and from the shore of shoreless ocean. So anyway, so that is because infinite, how can you make finite through your mind? And secondly, those who do not admit God, they deny it, but how they can exist? It is like denying one's own existence. It is like negating, doubting the doubters. Doubting the doubters. I doubt there is God. But the doubter is there. How can you doubt the doubters? Okay, so like that. So those who deny, they don't admit. That means what? Where they do stand? Let them first discover what is their standing point, what is their base on which they are standing. Then only they can find. So, yeah, go ahead.
14. The vanity of scholarship. The master then told the doctor, "You're right. With the acquisition of knowledge, one develops the kind of ego that claims, I am a pundit. Only what I know and understand is true. All others are mistaken. The vanity of learning is one of the fetters that binds human beings. It's God's grace that you've learned so much, but still don't have that kind of egotism."
Yes. So that vanity is difficult. So many vanities are there, but this is vanity of knowledge. Yes. And especially say young people, they have not entered there. So naturally it is easier for such a person not to be proud, and they can gather earlier. That is why Sri Ramakrishna allowed younger aspirants. Yes.
15. Dr. Sarkar's humility. Excited, the doctor said, "Egotism is worthless. It seems that whatever knowledge I've acquired is insignificant, almost nothing. There are so many things yet to learn. I believe, or rather, I actually perceive that everyone knows something that I don't. So I never feel humiliated when I learn from someone else. I think that I may have many things to learn even from these people," pointing to us. "For that reason, I'm ready to take the dust of their feet."
And he did. He took the dust of everybody. Yeah, go ahead.
16. There is substance in him. The master motioned towards us and said, "I tell them, friends, as long as I live, so long do I learn." Indicating the doctor, The master told us, "Have you seen how humble he is? There is substance in him. That's why he has such a wonderful understanding." The doctor then took his leave for the day.
Yeah. Sri Ramakrishna would say, I'm a fool. Himself would say, oh mother, I don't know anything. I'm a fool. You tell me what is to be done. So like this, that means when there is absence of ego, then that fullness comes. Ego divides. Ego makes us limited. And when there is I know, that means you are limited. When that ego goes, all problems are solved. So in Sri Ramakrishna, there was no trace of ego. Sometimes he would say, Ami, Ami, Aham, I am. But that is only a line on water. But there was no ego. And once he told to him, Mairi Bolchi, like he was by swearing, said, I'm really telling, I have no ego, trace of ego. So this is incarnation, it is difficult to understand. Though he has no ego, but still he is feigning ego. And that's why this is me, Ami. I went to Calcutta, I went to this place or that place. So without ego, and when there is no ego, there is no limiting adjunct, that means you are full. Yeah, go ahead.
17. The master's efforts to help the doctor advance on the spiritual path. As Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar's love and respect for the master grew, the master earnestly tried to help the doctor advance on the spiritual path. In addition, the master knew that talented people love to talk to their peers, so he often sent Mahendra M., the author of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Girish, Narendra, and other prominent disciples to talk to the learned doctor. After becoming acquainted with Girish, a famous actor and playwright, the doctor went to see a performance of Girish's Buddha Charit and lavishly praised its author. He also saw some other plays that Girish had written. In addition, the doctor was impressed when he talked with Narendra, and he invited him to dinner one day.
Yeah. Now, one day what happened? Girish was there. And so doctor was praising. How? In a negative way. He's a very bad man. Should I go every day to watch that drama? That means he lied so much. Sri Ramakrishna could not understand. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, what is he saying? Then it was explained that he's saying that he loved very much. So how? Oh, he's a bad man that he is forcing me to go to that theater house every day because it is so nice. Because it was very complicated, so Sri Ramakrishna missed that. Okay. And Narendranath, yes.
When the doctor learned that Narendra was a talented singer, he asked him to sing devotional songs for him sometime. One afternoon, a few days later, when the doctor came to visit the master, Narendra sang for 2 or 3 hours to keep the promise he had made. The doctor was so happy that before he took his leave, he affectionately embraced Narendra and blessed him as he would his own son. Dr. Sarkar then told the master, "I'm very glad that such a boy has devoted himself to the spiritual life. He is a jewel, and I'm sure he will shine in any sphere of life." Looking graciously upon Narendra, the master replied, "It's said that the fiery appeal of Advaita Goswami brought Gauranga to Nadia. Similarly, everything that you see here, meaning his own advent, is on account of him, Narendra." From then on, whenever the doctor visited the master, he invariably listened to Narendra sing a few devotional songs if he was there.
Advaita Goswami, that in Vaishnava tradition, Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, that is Bengal school. There are 5 Panchatattva. So Advaita Goswami was one. He was elderly. And because of his entreaties, God has to descend. He said, he prayed to God earnestly, oh God, people are suffering. Please have incarnation. Please come and show the way. So because of his entreaties, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, that means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, had advent in Nadia. So Sri Ramakrishna is giving that simile. But it is not only for Narendranath, because it was time. All these are Sri Ramakrishna's way of talking. He'll not talk directly because there is no ego. That's why, like when I read that somebody said that someone lights a fire and everybody comes and basket. Somebody cooks and then all other people come and eat. So he'll not tell directly. This is the beauty of an incarnation. Some sweet behavior pattern which is not seen anywhere in the world. Yes.
18. The doctor's anxiety and reaction when his medicine is not completely effective. It was autumn and the time for Durga Puja was at hand. The master's condition was fluctuating. His illness seemed worse on some days and better on others. The medicine was not producing the desired result. One day when the doctor came, he saw that the disease had been aggravated and he remarked, "There must be something wrong with your diet. Please tell me, what have you eaten today?" The master told him that he was eating soft foods only, rice gruel, soup, and milk for lunch, and barley or farina pudding and milk at supper time. The doctor said, "Still, there must be some irregularity in your diet. Well, what vegetables were in the soup?" The master replied, "It contained potatoes, unripe bananas, eggplant, and a few pieces of cauliflower. The doctor exclaimed, "What? You've eaten cauliflower? This is definitely not a good food. Cauliflower produces gas and is hard to digest. How many pieces did you eat?" The master said, "I didn't eat a single piece, but I saw some in the soup." The doctor answered, "It doesn't matter whether you ate the cauliflower or not. Its juice was in the soup. Your condition is worse today because your digestion was disturbed." The master replied, "What are you saying? I haven't eaten cauliflower, nor is my stomach upset. It's hard to believe that my disease has been aggravated by a little cauliflower juice in the soup." 19. An example of how a minor transgression and irregularity in one's diet can be injurious. The doctor said, "You have no idea how much harm a minor irregularity in one's diet can do to the system. You'll understand this if I tell you what happened to me. My digestion has always been poor, and I occasionally suffer from dyspepsia. I'm therefore extremely careful about what I eat, and I always follow a strict rule. I don't eat any prepared food from the market. I even have ghee and oil made at home. In spite of these precautions, I once caught a bad cold that developed into chronic bronchitis. I concluded there must be something wrong in my diet. I investigated, but couldn't find any problems with my food. One day I saw the servant feeding kidney beans to the cow that produced the milk I used. I learned upon inquiry that a few mounds of kidney beans had been procured from a certain place. No one wanted to eat those beans for fear of falling ill, so they were given to the cow for some days. I determined that my cold had started when the cow began to eat those kidney beans. I then told my servant to stop feeding those beans to the cow, and my bronchitis then slowly started to subside. It took many days to recover completely, and I spent 4,000 or 5,000 rupees for a change of climate and other measures.
So this, it's a funny incident, as Sri Ramakrishna ridiculed that, like I happened to cross under a tamarind tree, and that is why I had this. So it was like that. But anyway, diet is important, no doubt. And it was only maybe a guess that doctor had. But it can also happen. Anyway, we go ahead. This is also kind of, Leela. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, Swami, one thought was, the beans were bad. That's actually rotten food. It's not just eating cauliflower. You know what I mean? It's
No,
yeah.
some food are like, Narendranath doubted when Sri Ramakrishna told that if you eat the prasad, Atke prasad of Jagannath, today I was eating and I told you Jagannath's.
Right.
So it's rice offered, then it is dried. So I was eating that today. So Sri Ramakrishna said to Narendranath that if you eat these few grains every day, that will increase devotion. So Narendranath doubted, as usual. Said, no, how is it possible? So Sri Ramakrishna said, okay, opium, little of opium, that one can be intoxicated by the opium. If it is true, then why it is not true? So things can happen by like this. Something, if it is there, that may have adverse effect or favorable effect. So the dried rice offered to, or the food that is offered to Jagannath Mahaprabhu, when it is dried, and Sri Ramakrishna would take himself also. And he told M to take that. And M would go to Howrah station from Calcutta to beg from people who are returning from Odisha for that, Atke Prasad. Atke Prasad, dried rice. Because Sri Ramakrishna said that if you eat this, then your devotion will increase. So if that happens, so this also can happen. Okay, that's the point. Materials have got their influence, and we know that very, very, how very, very used to happen for seafarer, and then they discovered that B12 and etc. That these are responsible. Even canned food, how it became poisonous, and many sailors died, and then they discovered because of this that salmonella or whatever. So it can happen. Yes, go ahead.
The master said with a laugh, "My goodness, that sounds like the man who passed below a tamarind tree and caught a cold." Everyone laughed. Although the doctor's notion seemed to be a little exaggerated, no one raised any objection because they saw that he was convinced it was true. The doctor's advice was followed from then on, and cauliflower was no longer added to the master's soup. 20. The doctor's respect for the master and love for the devotees increase. The master's affection, simplicity, and spirituality attracted the doctor, whose words and actions during his visits revealed the respect that he was developing for the master. The doctor then loved not only the master, but also his devotees, and he was convinced that they were not making any exaggerated claims about the master. but it is hard to determine what he thought of the devotees' intense love and respect for the master. The doctor seemed to think it was a little extreme. However, it is clear he understood that their attitude towards the master was not mere pretense, nor was it driven by any selfish motive. This phenomenon amazed the doctor and was a mystery to him. Although he had engaged his keen intellect in understanding this mystery and associated closely with the devotees, their attitudes towards the master remained an enigma to him. He believed in God, but the influence of Western education prevented him from understanding how one could worship or revere a man as a guru or an avatar, even if one did see an extraordinary divine power within him. And for this reason, he was against this practice. The rationale behind his antagonism is this: those who are now worshipped as avatars had some aspect of their lives exaggerated by generations of disciples who preached their glories in such a biased way that it is now almost impossible to discern their true nature.
So this is another aspect of incarnation. We find in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, there are two sets of people. Some are doubters, and later those doubts were removed. Like Mathur Babu. Mathur Babu thought he's a mere boy. Even he needs support. And he did that out of love. But one day Mathur was standing in the Kuti Badi, and Sri Ramakrishna was pacing. And then he saw, when he was coming, facing him, then it is Shiva. And when he was going away from him, then it is Mother Kali, flowing hair. So few times he saw and then corrected his vision, but still he saw that. And then he came down and fell down at his feet. Sri Ramakrishna said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You are the master of this property. What people will tell?" No, Baba, nobody can stop me now. I know who you are. So he doubted, and his doubts were removed. But this doctor, Mahendra Sarkar, his doubt was not totally gone. He loved Sri Ramakrishna. That's why he used to come there, spend lots of time. But he always objected why people should offer you pranam, touch your feet, and because of that you are suffering so much. But he could not totally believe that it is possible that worshipping Guru and worshipping an incarnation is the means to attain knowledge. So all these are various aspects we find. It's wonderful, and some doubters should be there. Otherwise, everybody understands, everybody knows, then what is the fun? There should be some doubters, even some ruffians. One man came and kicked Sri Ramakrishna, and he just forbore that. Then Hajra Mahashai, another. So similarly, we also are like that. We also many doubts are there. Some doubts go, some does not go, do not go. So all these are various aspects of an incarnation. But see, incarnation is without any adjuncts. So through these signs and symptoms, one can see, oh, there is something. Example, like if I show a white paper, then say, Swami, what's the picture? Then I make some lines or dots. Then I say, oh, now the picture is clear. So all these doubts and devotion and people's attraction, all these are various aspects by which one can understand what an incarnation is. Okay, it is time we'll stop here. Is Akshay there? Or if anyone any question? It's so easy, so I think enjoyable.
Swami,
Yes.
we see that Dr. Sarkar had great love and respect for Narendra. Whatever became of their relationship or of Dr. Sarkar later when Swami Vivekananda became so well known? Did Dr. Sarkar visit Velar Mat and continue his?
He was advanced in age. He used to come to Sri Ramakrishna, that was 1886. Okay, 1886. We have to see how that was in my thought. What year he passed away? Whether that time nobody knew Narendranath. Even when he returned to India, he was barred to enter into Kali temple. You know that. Even when Swami Vivekananda passed away, he attained Mahasamadhi. There was no news in newspaper. In the beginning, lots of hue and cry was there. Lots of people were attracted, and then later, yes. What is the date? Yeah, you see, and tell when he passed away. Yeah, there is a book. You can go through this book. Can you see what is the date he passed away? Eh?
So Narendra went from being very popular to not well known and then well known again?
No. He was well known, but people did not. People neglected.
1904.
1904. And he passed. Dr. Sarkar passed away in 1904. That means after Swamiji's Mahasamadhi. He must have heard, but we don't know what happened to him. Maybe, in the book, the Sri Ramakrishna's physician, Dr. Mahendra Sarkar, you can go through this. But that is not important. It happens, like in the life of an incarnation. Various phases are there. When something happens, then that passes away. Then maybe he was old enough to move around. So we have to see that. Okay. I have not gone through his life, so I don't know. But it will be a good question. Yes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tatsat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. He was even elder to Sri Ramakrishna. And after the Mahasamadhi of Sri Ramakrishna, all the direct disciples were going under great penury. They were traveling from various here and there. And only in 1897, Swami Vivekananda returned, and most probably he heard about it, but we do not know whether he interacted with Narendranath or not. That I don't know. And we have no record or I have not seen that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Pranam
Jai
Swamiji.
Swami.
Namaste.
Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam
Namaste.
Maharaj.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma. Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.